Institutions are built to organize people, to create order out of chaos. But when they're abandoned, they don't forget how. Their purpose becomes ingrained in the very walls. These are 3 true-style accounts from places that were never meant to be quiet, and what happened when the silence was broken. Our first story takes us to an elementary school in the Midwest. Closed down in 2008 after a severe mold contamination, everything was left behind, frozen in time. Desks were still arranged in neat rows. Faded construction paper art was taped to the walls, and on a chalkboard in one classroom, a stark reminder, Monday test day. The building sat empty for years, a monument to a community's sudden departure. Eventually, the school district hired a security contractor, a guy named David, to perform overnight checks on the property. His job was simple: walk the perimeter, check the doors, make sure no one was breaking in. For weeks the nights were silent, uneventful, just the hum of his truck's engine and the crunch of gravel under his boots. Then came one Tuesday night in late October, at exactly 2:17 a.m., as David was making his rounds near the West Wing. His handheld radio crackled to life. It was a sound he'd never heard on the job before. It wasn't static. It wasn't interference from another channel. It was a voice, a child's voice, a quiet whisper that sent a chill straight down his spine. It said one word, "Here." David froze, listening. A few seconds passed. Then another voice, from a different direction it seemed, a slightly higher pitch. Here, then another, and another. Each response came just seconds apart, from different points all around him, as if someone was calling out names from a list, and the children were answering. It sounded like attendance. His heart was pounding, but his training kicked in. He had to investigate. He followed the perceived source of the sounds, his flashlight beam cutting through the darkness, until he found himself standing in front of room 104. The door was slightly ajar. Pushing it open, the beam of his light fell across the teacher's desk. It was covered in a thick layer of dust, except for one item, a class register. It looked old, the cover faded, but it was open to a fresh page. He picked it up. Down the list, every student had been marked present with a neat little check mark, all except one. The very last line was blank, but something had been written on it, freshly in pencil. The graphite still shone in the light. It was his name, David. Our next account comes from a hospital wing that was shut down after a devastating fire. The section was sealed off. No patients, no power, and no staff were supposed to go in there. The only people who had access were the cleaning crews, tasked with the slow, arduous job of clearing out the salvageable equipment from the less damaged rooms. They all received the same verbal warning from their supervisor, a stark no-nonsense command: do not, under any circumstances, enter room 304. There was no official paperwork, no sign on the door, no explanation given, just the instruction. And for months, everyone followed it. But curiosity is a powerful thing. One night, a new cleaner, let's call him Alex, decided he had to know what was so special about room 304. He figured it was probably just structurally unsafe, and the supervisor was being overly cautious. He waited until his partner was on another floor, then slipped away and jimmied the lock. The moment he stepped inside, he knew something was wrong. The room was spotless, impossibly clean. While the rest of the wing was covered in soot, dust, and the lingering smell of smoke, this room was pristine. There was no dust on the furniture, no sign of decay, no foul smell. It was as if the fire had never happened. On the wall above the empty bed frame, he saw faint letters, almost like they were written in condensation. They spelled out one word: waiting. As he stared at the wall, he heard a loud click behind him. The door had locked. He tried the handle, but it wouldn't budge. He called out, but no one answered. Panic set in. He didn't have his phone on him. He was trapped. What happened next is pieced together from the security footage from the hallway camera. The camera couldn't see inside the room, but it recorded the audio. It shows the door to 300 for closing. For 11 minutes, the microphone picked up the sound of Alex pacing back and forth, his footsteps frantic. Then, the pacing stopped. Silence. Then the camera showed Alex's shadow under the door, standing perfectly still, at attention. It was as if he was listening to someone receiving instructions that no one else could hear. An hour later, a security guard doing his rounds heard the muffled sounds and opened the door. The room was completely empty. Alex was gone, and the room was once again perfectly clean. He was never seen again. Our final story centers on a women's shelter that was forced to close its doors after its funding suddenly collapsed. The closure was abrupt. Intake files were left in filing cabinets, phones were disconnected, and the building was locked up, another casualty of budget cuts. For years it sat quiet, a place of refuge that could no longer offer any. Then, the police started getting calls from neighbors. They reported seeing lights turning on and off in the abandoned building late at night. Assuming it was trespassers, officers were dispatched to investigate. They found the building secure, all doors and windows locked. After forcing entry, they found no signs of squatters or vandals. Everything was coated in a thick layer of dust, untouched for years, except for one thing. In the main intake office, a single desk lamp was on, casting a lonely pool of light onto the desk, and under that light lay a single piece of paper. It was an intake form. The fields were filled out in a shaky, almost illegible hand. Name redacted, age unknown. But it was the last field that made the officers pause. Under reason for stay, 2 words were scrawled: can't leave. The investigation didn't stop there. An old forgotten voicemail system was still connected to a backup power source. When a technician managed to access the recordings, they found one single message. It was time-stamped for that very night. The audio was faint but clear. It began with the sound of soft, desperate sobbing. After a few seconds, the sobbing stopped and a new voice spoke. It was calm, gentle, professional. It asked a simple question: is this your first night? The most disturbing part: when police checked the system the following night, the message was still there, but the timestamp had updated itself. Same time, same audio, new date, no caller ID, the intake call that never ended. Institutions don't haunt people, they haunt processes. They remember their function, attendance, intake, treatment. And when the people leave, when no one is left to officially close the loop, to sign the discharge papers, to ring the final bell, something keeps running the program. Something keeps checking the boxes forever. Thanks for watching.